It's always a wonder if I know what I'm going to be able to say. I don't know what I'm going to say. But so I've been thinking about how over the course of my life, I have, consumed so much information that I have reached my conclusion, or I have reached my conclusion based off of the information that I have been able to translate with my senses. I live my life every day and I see things. And so therefore, I end up thinking, but so does everybody else. And of course, I think I'm right, right? Like who lives their life daily, with the reasonable amount of intelligence and doesn't assume that they've assumed correctly. We all do that. So my thought is when it comes to discussion, when it comes to debate, I just see this I see it get tricky way too often. I hear people talk about speaking your truth, and I think I know what is meant by that statement. But I can also see how that can create a misunderstanding because the truth is objective. It exists outside of acknowledgement and recognition, outside of time, outside of national boundaries. It just is. We don't need to recognize it for it to be. However, when someone says your truth versus my truth, I think what they're saying is tell me about your experience versus my experience, or how you see things. And that's your truth because that's how you see it. And that's fair. But even still, you could be incorrect in some of your assessments, and so may I. And so that's a part of what makes it so tricky. Like too often, I hear people say something about, well, that's a fact. They've proven it, and they're so serious when they say that. They've proven it. It's facts, scientific facts, solid facts, right? But way too often, it's like, okay, it's a fact, but can you prove it? Like, can you prove it in a way, in some other way, besides pointing to the written document, other than referring to somebody else's information that they have scientifically proven? Can you prove it without saying they have proven it? Like, who are they? So it's kind of like anybody can say, well, they've proven it, or that's a fact. And they may have proven it, and it may be a fact. But just because you said they have proven it or that it's a fact doesn't mean that what you're saying is a fact and that they even exist. I can see myself catching a lot of flack on saying this, but it's like, man, I don't even know if I should say it. But it's like dinosaurs, right? It's like they've proven dinosaurs exist. Duh. Okay. But I don't know who they are. I don't know who they are. You might, but I don't know who they are. So by saying they have proven dinosaurs exist, that doesn't prove dinosaurs exist to me. But if they did exist, that doesn't need my acknowledgement because they existed. But that's if they existed. But I'm not arguing about the validity of whether or not they existed. And in another case, they might say, there's skeletons in the museum, stupid. Okay, there may be skeletons in the museum, but there's cars in the street And someone may be like, what does cars in the street have to do with dinosaur bones? My reply would be something like, well, in my personal opinion, I think cars, like the creation of a car is something very sophisticated. It's an intellectual achievement, and maybe nowadays it's easy for some people, for like GMCs, no problem. But for other people like me, I couldn't make a car. But I tell you what, well, maybe this is a bad example, but all I'm saying is dinosaur bones could be created too by somebody just as easily as cars are created. And I'm sure that if you have the resources and you have the knowledge, it's probably a lot simpler to create dinosaur bones than it is, like fake dinosaur bones, than it is to create a car. Like somebody can go out there and create a skeleton of an animal that never existed, and they can say, oh, this was this animal and this is when it existed. And unless you have the scientific education, how can you prove it? You can't. Like, you can't prove it or disprove it. I'm not saying dinosaurs did or did not exist. I'm just saying things can be faked, they can be staged. I can't do a lot of the staging, I can't do a lot of the faking, but it is what it is. And another thing is like when it comes to this type of discussion, people get so hot over the topic. Like I'm sure, I'm not sure, but if anybody ever watches this video, I could see them saying, I could just see it in the comments. Someone say, "You idiot! Of course dinosaurs exist. What? Next you're gonna tell me you're a flat earther?" Or then somebody's gonna be like, "You idiot! They've proven the Earth is flat. I can't believe you think the Earth is round. I don't know what the Earth is. I don't know if the Earth is a sphere. I don't know if the Earth is flat. I can't prove it. All I know is in my childhood, they taught me that the Earth was round. So that's what I tend to believe. Can't prove it either way. And furthermore, it don't matter like if I can prove it or not. Because regardless of what it is or what it isn't, it doesn't change anything in my daily life. What's more important to me right now is figuring out how I'm going to get by day to day. And then after I figure that out, and many other things before that, maybe if I live long enough, I'll figure out how to prove whether or not the earth is a sphere or if it's flat. And then try to figure out how the heck that made a difference in my life. Because it won't. But, you know, the thing is just kind of like in discussion, anybody, so many people can say so many different things. They've proven this. But like why even get engaged in the argument? Like how important is the answer to that question? Like that can be solved later, you know? Right now, I think there are bigger, more important questions for me to answer than that. Especially to even get in an argument, to get heated over it. Like some people be willing to fight you over it. Not even a need for that. There's no need for that. But yeah, anyways, I think I got too far off topic. My whole point is just like, anybody can say anything. And I mean, the smarter you are, the more detailed you can make your fabrication. The more detailed it is, the more it seems like it's real. And depending on the person that you're talking to and their ability to follow you, at some point you can just start talking to somebody and they'll just be like, you know what? You sound like you know what you're talking about. And I can't follow you. Like I can't follow everything that you're saying. So I believe you. Or I'll just take your word for it. Or maybe some people are just there, whether or not they believe you is just it's determined by their emotional investment in you. Like if you just if you just speak with authority, then they're gonna believe you. This guy sounds like he knows what he's talking about, so I don't see why I should believe him. And it may not even be that well thought out. Like you just if you just talk like you know what you're talking about, they're just going to assume that you're right. But anyways, discussion, debate, argument. I'm sure somebody can, you know, maybe make more sense out of this video than I can, uh, or maybe than what I did. I'm a little afraid to hear the comments, but yeah. Anyways, you just got to decide what arguments are important, what debates matter. Not every debate matters, and just because someone says that's a fact or that they proved it, that's not necessarily true. It doesn't matter anyways. Maybe it does. Maybe it doesn't. Like I said earlier, the truth exists outside of my acknowledgement. Woo, I hope this video was not too far off.